Good day everyone, my name is Rachel Digno and I am your instructor for today's session. So our topic is all about preparing and producing pastry products. So some of you might be wondering if I keep on looking on this side because I am looking at the PowerPoint as my guide. So let's proceed. Next slide. Okay, this is the culinary and technical terms related to pastry products. So I am going to introduce to you some of the basic products that were discussed to us back then. So first off, we have the marzipan. Marzipan is a mixture of almond paste, sugar, and corn syrup. So they are molded to make candies and ornaments, or they are rolled into a sheet and used to cover cakes. The next one we have is the mousse. So that's how you read it, mousse. So mousse is a prepared food that incorporates air bubbles to give it a light and airy texture. Next slide, we have the ganache. The ganache is a glaze, icing, a sauce, or filling for pastries made from chocolate and cream. We also have fondant. So fondant is a type of icing which is commonly used in a decorative cake. So kung makakita tayo ng mga Spider-Man themed, Batman, Disney, like na ginaporman nila outside the cake, that they are using fondant to make those. Okay, we have the cream patisserie. Cream patisserie. So they are thick. They are creamy custard made of simple ingredients and usually flavored with vanilla, most often used in fruit tarts and cream puffs. So patisserie is a French or Belgian bakery that specializes in pastries and sweets. Okay, next slide we have the dacquoise. I don't know if I pronounce it correct. That's dacquoise or dacquoise. It is a meringue from France that incorporates flour and nut meal. So they are typically hazelnut or almond, and they are frequently used to make cakes and pastries. Okay. Next one, we have the macaroons. So macaroons is a sandwich cookie made with two feather-light meringues held together by ganache. So ganache, buttercream, or preserves. So okay. So what is ganache? We will discuss that later after this introduction of the pastry products. Okay. Next slide, we have the coulis. Coulis or coulis. They are thick sauce made from pureed and strained vegetable or fruits. Okay, those are just some of the basic products that you are going to encounter along the way of this subject. So let's proceed to ratio of ingredients required to produce a balanced formula. So what is a balance? So balance can be divided into 4 parts. Number 1 is the tougheners. They provide strength, such as eggs and flour. Number 2 is the tenderizers. They have to be carried, such as sugar, fat, milk, and fruits. Number 3 is the moisteners. It has an opening effect. They are the sugar, the baking powder, the eggs, and fat. And number 4 is the dryers. So they absorb moisture, such as flour, cocoa, and milk solids. Okay, so the general rules for balancing creaming method cakes made with regular shortening or butter are: number 1, the sugar is equal to or less than the flour. Number 2, the fat equals the egg. Number 3, the eggs and liquid or the milk and water equals the flour. So muna siya ang general rules for balancing creaming method with shortening. Okay, next slide. A high ratio cake has more sugar than flour, while a low ratio cake has either equal proportion of sugar and flour, or sugar is less than flour. Yes. So low ratio cake, flour is equal or less than sugar. Shortening should not exceed the egg. So it is liquid equals egg plus milk equals sugar. That is the low ratio cake. How about the high ratio cake? So high ratio cake, number 1, sugar is more than the flour. Eggs are more than the shortening. So liquid is equal to eggs plus milk is equal to sugar plus 25. So what is the 25? 25 is an arbitrary figure which gives desirable result in the products. Okay, so we also have a general formula for a high ratio cake. Number 1, 100 parts of flour. Number 2, 30 to 80 parts of fat. Number 3, 110 to 140 parts of sugar. Number 4, 40 to 90 parts of eggs. And from the formula above, we can find out the quantity of liquid milk. Okay, we also have here the correct proportion, control, yields, weights, and sizes for profitability. So, before we proceed, anong ginadiscuss na ko ni sila? It's because we cannot make or produce pastry products if we don't know how to balance formula or balance the ingredients. So, we need to be knowledgeable enough na kanang kung pila lang ka grams, pila ka weights or sizes ang atong needed for different ingredients para ma-produce ang isa ka pastry products na hindi siya mag-fail. Okay, let's proceed. So, correct proportion for eggs. So, 1 large in shell, it is 2 ounces. And grams per unit is 56.7. So, since we cannot put 1 large egg in cup, so wala tayo grams per cup. Yeah. And I'm going to show it to the screen. 1 large egg without shell is 1.7 in ounces. Grams per unit is 50. Grams per cup is 253. 1 large egg white, it is 1 ounce. Grams per unit is 30 and grams per cup is 240. 1 large egg yolk, 3.5. It is 0.6 ounces. It is 18.6 grams per unit and 255 grams per cup. Okay, next slide. We have the types, kinds, and classification of pastry products. Okay, first we have here the buttercreams. So buttercreams is one of the most common and versatile cake toppings and fillings. So buttercream actually covers a fairly wide array of different cake toppings. The basic composition of buttercream is fat, often as the name might imply, butter, but not always. So we also use sugar. However, the ingredients and methods employed can vary quite greatly. Okay, next slide. Types of buttercreams. We have here the American style buttercream. So American style buttercream is made primarily from butter and confectioner's sugar. This buttercream can be tinted or flavored in a number of different ways. Okay, let's continue. We have the crusting buttercream. So crusting buttercream is a variant of American style buttercream that is frequently made with part shortening and a little more sugar than usual, so that it is soft when made but sets as it firms. Okay, next slide. We have the flour buttercream, sometimes called boiled milk frosting. So cooked milk buttercream or ermine buttercream. Flour buttercream is unique because it's made by boiling a mixture of flour, sugar, and milk until it thickens to a pudding-like consistency. It's then cooled and beaten with butter and flavorings to make a silky, delicious buttercream that visually resembles an American buttercream. Okay, we have more from the types of buttercreams. We have the cream cheese frosting. Is a type of American style buttercream that employs cream cheese instead of or in addition to butter. It is common frosting to use on top of carrot cake, hummingbird cake, and red velvet cake. So cream cheese frosting is commonly used by sa cake shop, but nowadays some people use cream cheese sa milk teas, sa ilahang teas ginasagol nila sa kilid sa ilahang drinks. Okay, we have the meringue buttercream. So, meringue buttercreams prominently feature egg whites. So, ang meringue kay egg whites ilhang ginagamit. So, the most popular meringue buttercreams are Swiss buttercream. It has egg whites and sugar cooked and then whipped with butter. So, Italian meringue buttercream, where we also have the Italian meringue buttercream, where boiled sugar is slowly poured into an egg white meringue mixture then beaten with butter. And French meringue buttercream, where uncooked egg whites are mixed with sugar and cream of tartar. So, that's the differences po no sa Italian and French meringue, kay ang uban cooked before sila i-mix sa sugar, ang uban kay uncooked before i-mix sa sugar, inga na siya, no? Okay. So we're not yet done with types of buttercreams. We have the custard buttercream. So this buttercream is sort of like a cross between boiled milk buttercream and French buttercream. So pasty cream is combined with butter and confectioner's sugar to a spreading consistency. French buttercream. This rich cake topping and filling is made with hot sugar combined with egg yolks rather than whites. So unique po siya no, kaya ang uban merang kay kanang egg whites ang ginamix. Kani sa French buttercream, egg yolks ang ilahang ginayuse. So kanang since the eggs are not cooked, they can be pasteurized before making this type of buttercream to reduce the chance of foodborne illness. Okay, next slide. Fudge buttercream. So fudge buttercream, this is a buttercream that starts with either melted chocolate or cocoa powder combined with butter, which is then cooled and whipped with sugar and flavorings to a fluffy consistency. Rolled buttercream. So this is a buttercream which with much higher amount of sugar, giving it a clay-like consistency that can be rolled. So ang uban kay kanang spread consistency, fluffy consistency, kani siya ang rolled buttercream, clay-like consistency. So ano gid siya no kanang it's kanang daghan gid siya sugar para dili siya kanang spread like consistency, maigana siya padulong. Okay, we have manata sa buttercreams. Let's move on to caramel icing. So this icing is best applied to a cake right after it is made, so as it will set firm. So kasagaran ang gina-use for caramel is sugar. The process of making this icing is similar to the process of making candy. So a brown sugar and milk mixture is boiled and combined with water and sugar until it reaches a spreadable consistency. Yes. So no, as I mentioned, ang iyahang yung common ingredient for caramel is sugar. Okay, next we have the ganache. Okay, na natin sa ganache. So ganache, it can be used as a drizzle or as it becomes thicker as it cools. It can be used to cover an entire cake. Once firm, it can be used as a filling for chocolates. So dagan use ang ganache. They can be used as kanang pang design sa cookies, like kanang gina-drizzle nila, like kanang zigzag, or it can be used as kanang imong pang cover sa entire cake, or palaman nimo siya sa chocolate cookies pa kaya sa imong cake. Yes, so dagan gamit yun ang ganache, no? Okay, next we have the glaze. So confectioner's sugar glaze. This simple glaze is made using confectioner's sugar with a small amount of liquid added. It can be quite liquid or thicker like a syrup depending on the ratio of sugar to liquid. The chocolate glaze. A chocolate glaze is a pourable chocolate topping. It can be ranged from translucent to opaque, but it is typically thin enough that it can be poured. We have the gum paste. It is a pliable dough which is often used for cake decorating. It is made using egg whites, confectioner's sugar, and shortening. It can be rolled quite thin and is ideal for creating hand-modeled flowers or other intricate decorations. So gum paste is quite similar to fondant. So fondant na is gina-use po siya as kanang for decoration sa cake, and gum paste is gina-use po siya as kanang mold, kanang mga design na ginamold nila. So, more siyang ingana, no? So, similar siya sa fondant. Okay, next slide, we have the whipped cream frosting. So, typically, the type used for cakes is a stabilized whipped cream, which is enforced with marshmallow, butter, or gelatin for a more firm texture that won't melt as easily. Okay, fondant. Okay, let's move. Okay, so that's where we stop our discussion. In the next session, I'm going to discuss about the mixing procedures, the formulation, recipes, and desired product characteristics of various pastry products. For now, I want you to choose one pastry product that you want to perform and produce.